Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Mr. Southeast Aviation, good to see ya. Make sure all my audio is working good, so I'll have that volume up there for a bit. Let's see. That's gonna want to move that just a wee bit. Okay, cool. So that should be there. Should be streaming now. Why is that not? Okay, cool. There we go. That's working there. Get that kind of centered up. Cool, I'll arrange weight and stuff once we get in there. So yeah, figure I'd fly a little bit today while I can. Early morning shift here. It's the flashing. Oh, it's got to be the truck or whatever over there. Also got my phone on charge, so it's not right there at the moment. Is there a reason that's not working? There we go. Okay, cool. Do a little pre-flight. Engine covers. Oil gauge. Still got blade socks on. Get rid of those. Don't need that. That's the door there. Everything's latched. Shift C. Get myself situated in here. Go slightly tall. A little bit further forward. Okay, I can see all that good. Let's use my mouse for a second real quick. Also want to make sure my TV's not too high so y'all aren't hearing double sounds. Aircraft. So I'm going to do this big. Pilot, co-pilot. Cool. That's cool. I want to put 100 each in the passenger weights right now. Not because I have a passenger, I just want to assume more weight, you know, for more equipment. Fuel. I'm gonna start topped off. That would be 195 today. Everybody else is 180. We're all thick. That puts us at good weight. Load immediately. Yes, they do use the back door for easier stretcher use. What? Where'd all this go? I want that 180. Weird. Cool. I'm just going to quick fill it because I want to get us on the heavier side. Okay. Weird. Okay, and I have been talking to Mr. Grok. We already have a first flight, but I want to go through and get this all started. I'm not playing that we had a pre-flight ready to go beforehand. That's off. But here we go. Kind of dark up here, don't you think? I think we have a battery down here, actually. I gotta remember all these 135s. The 135s here are different than the 145s. Battery master on. There we go. That's the big deal there. Battery master on. All that up there should be good. The hydraulics don't matter there. Turn my fuel primes on. Those would be nice with a clicky sound. Weird. What am I missing here? Generator need to be on? There. Nope. It's a chip. Okay, guys, what am I missing? I can barely see these damn things. Let's see. Whoa, what did I do? No. The heck? Okay, that was terrifying. Okay, battery on, da-da-da. Why? There should not be a starter button. Fine. Make me do the checklist. Get out of here, mouse. Actually, I'll probably use you. Rotor covers, engine. I got the pitos. Before flight, all switches, twist grips. Cool. Battery master, bus tie off. Bus tie 1 and 2 off. Bus tie 1 and 2 messages displayed. Sure. DC voltages. Bus ties back to normal. Battery master off. Then what was the point of that? Engine gauges. Generators on. Low NR audio on. Displayed. CS reset. This is all stuff I have not had to do before. Fire extinguisher tests. Warning horn, sure, we did that. The only reason I'm skipping through a lot of this is because they usually don't function. In these. Transfer A. Transfers off. Prime on, anti-collision on. DC voltage. FADEX on. Why can't I turn my FADEX on? Hello? Can I... I'm going to restart. There's something wrong there. The FADEX switches should move. Sorry for all this fun here starting up, people. This helicopter's never given me issues, but with this being Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and something that's just been ran through by horrible programming, we deal. Okay, those are off. Sure. Shift C. Forward. Okay. Battery switch on. Why? Why do my FADEX switches not work? Bus tie shit shouldn't matter. FADEC fail messages. Oh. I'm going to do something I'm not proud of here because the fucking game is broken. Already starting, beginning of the stream, but why would it be any different? That is so annoying. Why? Was this helipad here? Yep. Set as departure. This should start us running. And of course it gives me real time. That's so dumb. So dumb. Apologies to anybody watching. Honestly, I'm embarrassed for this stupid game. Let's see. So I need to get rid of that. I need to get rid of that. I need to scoot forward a little bit. Landing light, something. isn't even on. Okay. Adds variety, but it's just harder to see, and it's more enjoyable to fly during the daytime. If anything, maybe later we'll pop in a night session. Okay, let's see if that light goes off once we start taking off. Just get me out of here. And I also want to get fuel and weight set real quick. Tab, mouse. Low-key looking forward to today for this thing to work, because the 135 is kind of enjoyable to fly around. Of course, it doesn't even take the appropriate. Yeah, I know the loading of my aircraft failed. Yep, failed. That's so annoying. Don't care about the landing light message there. That can go away. Blowy, what's up? Thank you for the happy early birthday. Despite me being extremely annoyed by the game, I'm not going to let that get to me at the moment. So our first pickup will be down here. Near... No, stop. We'll pick a zone. I'm going to say probably by the way stations up here will be our better bet. The sim does have the 145, but I gave the choice of aircraft to Grok. Griffin traffic helicopter 420 Foxtrot Whiskey picking up at Air Methods, and we will departing directly from the ramp to the southeast. Griffin. Look, I don't know. I'm kind of really annoyed at this helicopter right now. Should we change to the 145 or keep flying this 135? We do have the Chinook not quite medical thing. We might do that for the Around the World session tomorrow. After we do this pick up and drop off, because we got to take this patient up to Grady. After we do this pick up and drop off, y'all let me know if we want to change the 145. We'll change to the 145, because then at least I have like functioning buttons and like startup procedures and everything with it. Yeah, the flight suit, it was it's warm. I'll say that. I also have the knee board available today, but I'm not using it right now because my phone was at like 20%. Which are we at now? 65. So fast charging is good. No, we did 145 last time. Yeah, we did the 145 last time we were doing the medical role play. It's medical for fat people. Yeah, we did use the 145 last time. I do remember that specifically because I was trying to imitate Grady's, what is it, November 113 Alpha Mike or Alpha Hotel, something like that. Whatever their new 145 C2 that they picked up is. When I say new, I mean it's still new. It's a 2020, which I am curious what the reasons for the different models of the 145 being sold still is. Like the D3s are obviously the newer thing. I think the D3s have been out for a little bit, and so have the D2s with the finished from tail rotor. But why is the 145 C2 still being sold in 2020, and that's with a standard tail rotor setup? The 500. MD500, not quite medical, unless you're just talking about like special ops getting people out. I've got the 500E, and I have the 500C model as well. So C would be round nose, E would be pointy nose. Yeah, I feel like even though I do like the variety in doing this one because it's older school gauges and whatever, like the landing light freaking thing, why are you there? Like, I don't see any reason for that to be an issue right now. So, that's annoying. Old stock, low and fast. Did you ever see in my flying angry streams? Which I really don't fly angry. I'm not an angry person. But, every once in a while I'll do a stream called, like, Angry Flying, where it's just, like, low and fast, and as soon as I crash, then we change aircraft, or, the Santa Claus airspace defense streams are pretty fun on December 24th. Done 2 of those now. Which those are just neat, because it's like, okay, cool, we're trying to figure out where Santa is, and we're trying to intercept him. So that's a lot of low, fast checking out stuff. Trying to think like a Santa. Oh yeah, the Armor Heli videos, they're extreme. Is the MD500 capable of doing upside down things? Yes. There's videos of it out there. They've got appropriate rotor head design and sportiness and power to support that. Are they able to fly like that in real life? I don't think so. And there's a lot of situations where I don't know what your I may do that later. If you stick around to the end, or just in one of the future streams, let me know when we'll do it. I'm going to try to keep today relatively medical-ish. Or after we drop this person off and I'm ready to swap to the 145, I may do a quick stunt in this thing. This old bird. I'm only going 80 knots. We have 2 engines. We can go much faster than this. There's somebody dying up here, probably. Yeah, a lot of their approaches, like, they make sense flight-wise. I'm sure I've seen some videos of people doing it with, like, collectives and cyclics and appropriate pedals and things. And actually, one of the actors on the show I was on today, we were talking about helicopter stuff, and he was like, "Have you seen like those TikToks and reels of the people doing that?" I was like, yeah, I've seen it. But there's a thing called settling with power. And what settling with power is, for lack of better terms, it's descending into your own downwash. The general rule is less than 300 feet per minute if you are under 30 knots of forward airspeed. And a lot of the approaches that they come in doing that, even though they're moving fast, their forward airspeed kind of halts. And they put themselves in a very strong sort of potential for settling with power or vortex ring state. And that's how you smack yourself into the ground. And you're like, well, I pulled up on the collective. Why didn't it slow me down? Well, that's why. Yeah, you can do inverted in this thing. It's got the right rotor system for it. But not like sustained upside down flying. It has to be like no G or 1G loops or whatever. Because this will have a similar rotor head designed to the 145, which is give or take the same as the BO 105, which is the one that Red Bull uses. So they will be similar, so this is capable of handling it, not underslung. Descending into your downwash isn't the end of the world. You can get out of it. I'll do that real quick here. So we're going to slow down the gauges I'm looking at here. Our person can wait. They're stabilizing him. So we're going to get our airspeed here down to 0. And we're going to have 0 knots. We're going to have more than 300 feet per minute going down, which we have a vertical speed indicator over here on the right. We're going to be watching this, and we're going to get that bar down to there. And I'm going to have some power applied to my collective here. I'm going to get us back to 0 here. Still gaining altitude, but I'm at 0 airspeed. And you're going to see if they have this modeled correctly. Actually, we're going backwards. Get a little bit of forward. Because I think I have lift going backwards there. Jeez, go forward. I'm too negative in my airspeed. Anyways, you can see now it starts dropping faster and faster. There we go. So now we're basically just kind of free falling out. And even if I were to add collective, it's really not going to do anything for me. So the way you get out of it is you lean forward. You get yourself forward airspeed and out of the downwash, and that gets you out of it. The other one is apply power pedal, which in this helicopter is right pedal. And you can imagine if you're looking at the helicopter from the outside here, if you add right pedal doing a rotation like this, it's pushing the rear and kind of translating the whole helicopter to the left. So you would apply, which we're almost in it right here. So you'd apply right pedal and left on the cyclic, and it will step you out sideways. And that one's kind of preferred if you're lower altitude, because it gets you out of it quicker. You're not requiring the forward airspeed to get you safe. When you do the push forward one, your cyclic's not as effective, but you can push forward, and also you're lowering the collective even more because you need pitch in the blade to be in VRS. If you don't have pitch in the blade, you're technically not in it. So you're lowering the collective and pushing forward and slowly working your way out. But if you're already too low, you don't have enough room to get out of it. That's the downside of that one. So the Fashar technique is its second one, and it's better for low altitude things. So if you were doing power line stuff or some sort of good sunrise, some sort of ENG, which is electronic news gathering, or something where you're having to fly slow and maybe heavy, that's a good way. Slipping to slow. The old fixed wing talk. But yeah, so you still can get settling with power while you're on the ground and getting into ground effect as well. Once you have that 300 foot per minute descent or more and you're slower, it doesn't matter. You're going to be falling through it given that you have some sort of power applied. So it's called vortex ring state, but it's somewhat interchangeable to settling with power. But you can kind of look at settling with power more of a landing issue. For something to go wrong while you're landing, as you can imagine, settling down into a spot. So that's why a lot of people end up smacking the ground pretty hard, enough to damage the aircraft, but not enough to like just be super, super, super bad. So yeah, it's two things to kind of look out for. I don't know how we got on that topic exactly, but it's good to get this experience, flight crew, just so you guys know. Let's see, is this the highway? Yep, that's the interstate, so we're close. Way station's up here. We'll set up an orbit once we get to it. Flat spins, yeah. It's always funny watching all the flat spin videos where the pilots that's teaching it, they're like, okay, cool. Hands off the controls, whatever. Look at your gauges. See that you're going this way. Fix it this way. And it's like they're so calm and collected with it. Okay, here's our spot down here. I am going to speed up some because I do want to get our patient and get them to Grady so we can swap out to another helicopter. There are a few towers in this area that I am being aware of. The winds are kind of calm here, so we're going to be doing an approach from the direction that I'm doing now, so we'll call this like an upwind pass. We'll orbit over and do a descent following this. It's not an exit, it's like a tractor trailer way station. Gives you the woozy stomach. Yeah, I would hope so. If not, you're a different sort of person. Yep, don't really see anything down there. There are no trucks in the way station at the moment. We're going to assume fire and EMS and police have a spot cleared for us. We're going to call it that little back road. Back street there. Call this a downwind. Usually for off airports too, we'll do a second orbit, so I'll set up a second orbit down here also. A much slower second orbit. And this would be more to look for anything that's you couldn't see up top. Like usually when you're higher, you can see like approach pass, power lines, stuff like this. Here is more like street lights, fence posts, debris on the ground. You can also judge which way your wind is going just by how your helicopter reacts to being in an orbit. And it's kind of like planes when you're crabbing around or whatever. You feel what it's doing, and when you're facing a certain way, if you're having to crab whatever to do your perfect 90-degree square around something, then you can tell which way your wind's coming from, even if you don't have any good indicators on the ground to let you know where from. Here I'm really going to arrest our vertical descent, keep us out of VRS. Very clear on the left, that's good. Aiming for this little gravel patch. Also, I think they have this helicopter set up wrong. I'm using a lot of left pedal here. Unless the 135s rotate the American way, the correct way. But I doubt it. Cool, so there we are, we're on the ground. I'm not sure if I've told you the owner of the J3 Club. Ground looped in the fall, dang. Dude, tail wheels, I don't want to say they terrify me. I think they're super cool. Like if I was getting some sort of small prop plane. Like there's two ways I lean. One way is I want a tail wheel because I think it'd be cool, but also it replaces exactly what I want to use a helicopter for. Small areas, getting in and out, like bush plane type things. So yeah, part of me wants it. The other part of me is going, no, just go in and get something like a tricycle with better top speed and cruise, and use that for longer trips. So now we're picking up, adding power. Yeah, there's too much left pedal here. They've got this backwards. We came in this way, so this will be the way that we get out, but in reverse. Part of doing it in reverse is you can see your landing spot if you need to come down for a quick landing or auto rotation, because you know the way in to a good landing spot because you just took that way in. I don't know what the typical numbers are for getting above the ground and swapping to the forward flight. It's probably something where you're getting yourself outside of the height velocity diagram. But 500 feet seems like a lot. But this seems like, okay, cool, even if I were to lose one engine, I could still manage a safe landing that way, even on reduced power. And off to Atlanta we go. Two. Let's see, how are we lining up there? Okay, that's not terrible in the way, so it won't be a huge detour to avoid the Bravo up there. Horsepower tail driver trying to roll out. The hardest part of a tail dragger is trying to roll out on landing. When you're landing on a bush, you're typically stalling before touching the ground. So it's actually easier than trying to roll out. I could see that. Heavy flaps, land on the horn. Easy peasy, nothing to it. But yeah, so like, yeah, part of tail draggers or trikes that are set up for bush type stuff. I have a big attraction to those because I think it's super cool, but also I'm a helicopter guy, so those are doing exactly what helicopters do for me. And helicopters are cooler, hate to say it. But something like, forgive me for I don't speak airplane as well. Like I said, it's the 182, a larger Piper, a Saratoga, something, Beechcraft, Bonanza, something, especially like a retractable gear, or even if it's not a retractable gear, something with a bit more attractive of a cruise speed would be cool to have. Because I do go to Florida a good bit. And a lot of times when I'm going down there, it's a 6.5 hour trip. I'd much rather do it in 2 hours or less, you know. J3 doesn't have flaps. A carbon cub. Let me fix that there. Carbon cubs do have the big, I assume those are considered flaps, right? Yeah, PC-12s are sick. I'd like the PC-12s a lot for their off-airport capabilities, while the TBMs and Epics and other things of the sort are capable of it. Not off-airport, soft-field. The PC-12s are also, like, correct me if I'm wrong, designed with doing soft-field landings in heavy consideration, which is super cool. Yeah, planes from the 40s. But yeah, having that as something where it's even being considered, where it's like, okay, cool, like the PC-24 is designed with soft-field landings and takeoffs in mind. The way they have the engine placement and stuff designed around that, because they also have the cargo door in the rear, which usually would kick up rocks, but there's extra little flaps and things and whatever that protect the engine from any sort of debris thrown up during landings or whatever. Whole wing flaps there, and like the Kit Fox, I think. Yeah, soft field speed and range. That's basically a PC-12. So get your money right. Also, if you know, you know. Anyways, let's see. Thursday night. Oh, I am creatine taking, so my liquid intake is much more than normal, but look everybody, there's a helipad right there. Not even on the map, because I know about all the secret helipads in my area. That's for the Georgia State Prison and Diagnostic Center. We can add some more power in here. A little bit lower, a little bit lower. There. Sick, I'll take it. But yeah, want to fly again tonight. Want to get myself back in the mood. Like I said yesterday or the day before, whenever I was flying. Excuse me. But the TV show I've been working on all this time is finally wrapping and coming to an end until the next season. So I'm going to have a lot more free time. I want to wake up early. I said in the Discord, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But tomorrow is my birthday. Big 3-5. cool, I guess. But if I don't wake up early, then I will try to do it sometime next week. Because Thursday, I think I've got to get up at like noon, so I'm kind of flopping my sleep schedule later, so I don't want to make that too big of a thing. Friends currently flying a Challenger 600 right now, private charter. The winged wood grain. It's just a shorty CRJ. CL350M. Okay, cool. You can get one private jet. It has to be powerful enough or light enough to get out of small airports. It does not have to be soft-filled. So if you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to get a Gulfstream G700 or whatever, it's like, okay, cool, that doesn't fit into a lot of places. It has to be modest sized and I don't want to say relatively affordable, but where you're not spending $50 million for a private jet. What are you going to get? It has to be turbine. It's not a prop plane. So turbine jet of some sort, capable of smaller fields, but not too big for the smaller fields. Since y'all are in there talking shit about different types of private jets. PC-24's a solid option for me, but it has a short range, which throws me off. But I really, really do like those. There was... what was it? Was it a Falcon? Was it 2-engine or 3-engine? Southeast Aviation. You may be able to say, but there was a plane that I posted back when I was doing my helicopter training. It wasn't the normal blue one that kind of lives up there at Speedway, but it was... maybe it was a Global? Bahamas from Canada, that's a haul. But hey, they got the money, they can run it, you know. Yeah, I want to say it's like a Global 6000, Global 7000, something like that, Bombardier. And that thing took off with like, in like 1/3 of the field at Speedway. It was wild. And I watched them do a landing too, and it was like they almost made the first turnoff. It was unbelievable watching that thing do its thing. Yeah, Global 6000. Yeah, that thing was wild. If I was getting something bigger than a PC-24, I would get that, because that looks like it has good enough range to really, like, if you want to throw it across to California, you can. I think you would still not be able to do an Atlanta to UK flight. I think you would probably have to do, like, go up to New York or Canada and do one of those mid-stops and then fling over. But also, I don't know. I haven't looked that deep into it. It's not exactly in my priority list. Is an underpowered, over-engineered POS. Oh yeah, the 24 would do it on dirt strip, obviously. But sometimes I'm like, okay, cool. In the imaginary world of me, in the automotive industry, we call it bench racing, where you're just like, ooh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. In the world of bench flying, the PC-24's a bit small for me sometimes. Throat Punch 6424, what's up? Also, we're up here at cloud level. We could probably descend a little bit and be happy. Maybe even pick up a little bit of speed on the way down. can fly to the UK. That's cool. Transatlantic's a neat thing. Also, being able to fly to Hawaii is cool, because there are some that are just small enough to where it's like, okay, cool, you're regional jumping around, which if that's all you need it for, then that's fine. But to be able to safely and confidently cross oceans if needed, that's a plus. Okay, so what we're looking at here, we're coming up to a Class Bravo, which is Atlanta. You can see all the names and stuff popping up here where people are. But, hello. What we're going to be doing, this is I-75 North right here. And up here's a split where 675 goes this way, 75 goes that way. We're basically going to follow 675, but stay on the east of it just a little bit. And that will bring us around the edge of the Bravo to where we don't have to do any sort of calls or anything in to get any sort of clearance through the lower shelf. Well, really the ground shelf. It's not a shelf, it's the ground section of the Bravo. Mr. Southeast Aviation, he will be a pilot one day. You can count on that. He's been here in my chat basically since I started streaming helicopter stuff. Maybe on it was probably one of my first flying a helicopter streams that I did. Which is basically as long as I've been flying helicopter in the sim. I did it for a little bit before I had VR, then once I got VR, I was like, okay, let's make sure I know how to stream, because if I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to make this system pay for itself. Yeah, he's been here every day. Met him in person a couple of times, and just a guy that loves aviation. And I thoroughly look forward to taking him for a ride in a helicopter one day, maybe corrupt him enough to where he becomes a helicopter person. But also I know he's going to fly planes. But also, I don't know if you want to fly commercially, like when I know commercial license, commercial pilot could be a lot of things, but I don't know if you want to be an airline pilot. I don't know what your goal would be if you want to do flying as a career. Because there's a lot of people who just want to become like a doctor but then buy their own airplane and just fly recreationally. But if you do want to fly commercially, have you put any sort of thought into if you wanted to do airline stuff, or would you try to shoot for private or something like the medical transports with PC-12s or whatever? Let's see. Yeah, I've already gotten you into helicopters a lot more than you used to be into them. You're welcome. It's funny, like I might give anybody their first ride, because I've only given 2 people rides in helicopters, my dad and my friend, and of course other than instructors and examiners and stuff. It may have been my friend's first time in a helicopter, but he doesn't like small planes and stuff, so small helicopter was really no help. But he seemed to really enjoy it. That was like November last year, and it was one of the warm November days, so we were able to do doors off, and it just felt great outside. Like we had a long sleeve shirt on, and it was just enough to be slightly warm. So like, part of me wants to tell you to like get a full simulator set up, because that was what I did. I don't know if you've heard the story about me blowheed, but I bought this simulator setup with the thought process of I'm going to teach myself how to hover and do all the basic by-the-book things, autos, approaches, steeps, shallows, run-ons, turns, whatever. I taught myself all that in person, which the only bad habit I really have is trim that I got out of sim stuff, because you can't really feel it. You just kind of point your nose where you want to. Which that was easy enough to kind of break, but that was my one bad habit. Turn more due north here just to make sure we don't bust a Bravo and get a call or get a number. Speaking of family planes, I hit a 22. Smooth transition there. And I believe this is a 2500 shelf. Or no, it's a 3500 shelf. I don't remember actually. If I was doing this for real, I'd know what my shelf limit was here. Yeah, so for airplanes, I can't say how helpful it is, because I've kind of always understood how planes work, and I don't take this as me being overly confident with airplanes, but I don't think they take as much counterintuitive thought processes to make happen. Where helicopters are kind of unintuitive when you first start. And you can really get in some bad pilot-induced oscillations, hovering and trying to figure stuff out, and it's a whole different world doing the helicopter stuff. But I've always figured, like, planes, like, okay, cool, if you understand what you're supposed to do, you can already be, like, 90% of the way there as far as being able to, like, do a flight from pickup to set down. And like I've seen some pretty good people do, like one that we've talked about here in this stream before is Cletus McFarland, the car guy. There is a episode where he went to go fly his friend's plane because he was like, I've always had the idea that I could just hop in a plane and fly it. And he said that his friend had to like really take over the controls and help him when he was landing. Taking off, he said it was not that big of a deal. He was able to get up and kind of do everything. But he said landing, it took a little bit, which kind of bugged him because he's always just been able to drive and do shit. Lockheed, hell yeah. That's where my stocks are at. So you better not mess up. But yeah, like you see the camera, like I don't have the world's craziest flight sim setup, but the VR helps a huge bit. At least for rotorcraft. For fixed wing, I don't think it's necessary, but doing approaches with helicopters, they're extremely variable. When you look at the helicopter flying handbook, which I used to have sitting out here, I think it might be over there somewhere out of my reach. But it's like, cool, a shallow approach is X number of degrees to X number of degrees, a normal approach is X number of degrees to X number of degrees, and a steep approach is X to X. But really that changes. There's no like glide slope set path like you have with an airplane. Everything just changes so much. And when I was first learning on the sim how to hover, a lot of it was just bopping around a parking lot and hitting different spot, kind of hovering around. But I enjoyed doing approaches to these spots and trying to like spot land them. And before I had the VR, I was just watching it on a screen. It was extremely hard to do that because the depth perception was way off. You really couldn't judge what your things were doing. Where like if it was an airplane, you're like, well, I'm going to land at the base of this tower here, I know that if I'm at 1,000 feet going 100 knots and I pull power at the right thing, then eventually I'll coast down and get to that point. Like, that's kind of like the understood plane glide ratio thing. With a helicopter, there's no glide ratio. It's like if I go all the way down on my collective, I'm technically in a form of auto rotation right now. I just still have power going through the rotor system. And that's falling out of the sky, if you're unaware. For anybody watching this that doesn't know what that is. Grady Hospital Helicopter, November 420 Foxtrot Whiskey Air Life 1. We are 2 miles to the east. We are inbound with a patient. You already know what's happening. Something, Grady. Yeah, eye tracking, I've heard that helps a lot. I still don't know how well that would do for helicopters, because there's times when I'm out the window looking, or like looking way up here over the just over whatever, and the VR makes a huge difference for that. You can still fly without the VR, but the VR makes such a difference that I would say if you're doing helicopters in VR, don't bother unless you have VR. Or doing helicopters in flight sim, don't bother unless you have VR. It's not worth it, and you're not getting the full experience. And I hate to even say it like experience, you're just not going to get everything out of it that you should be getting out of it. They have different call signs that they use. I'm not a professional pilot, as you know. But they do have different call signs that they use depending on company. See here, this will be like more of a normal approach angle that I'm taking into this, but it's also considered a pinnacle landing because it's the pinnacle of a building. But pinnacle, that just doesn't mean top of a building or top of a point or a mountain. A pinnacle is your approach has to terminate at this spot. So if you're doing something like this, then yes, this is a pinnacle, or I mean, landing on a peninsula on the lake or something, it's considered a pinnacle. Rotate. Set her down. What we'll do, we'll play them getting out real quick, and then we're gonna head up to PDK to drop off, or to drop the helicopter there, and then I'll kind of restart my suggestion and say, hey, I'm having to switch helicopters at PDK, start the next exercise from there. When I'm talking to old Grok. VR is better for everything, yeah. But looking at gauges and looking around is nice. I will say the plus side to not doing VR is when you're running VR, you use slightly less resolution, just to keep it quick enough to where you're not getting any sort of lagging when you're looking around. And to get clear gauges, you gotta really get on them. But from out here, it's like, I can understand that that's 100, then I see all these numbers, so I can like deduce like 20, 40, 60, 80, but that number's kind of blurry, that number's kind of blurry. Can't really read that at all, but I know it's the rotor RPM and stuff because I've looked at it before. But I couldn't tell you what those numbers are just because they're somewhat blurry because they're far away. Okay, Mr. Helicopter, your collective's all the way down. I don't know why you're acting like you have all this lift all of a sudden. Oh yeah, that's right, this thing's got the wrong rotor rotation. Okay, so we're going to head off to PDK. Just to drop this off and Oh yeah, I said I'll do a trick thing. So we're gonna get our speed up to like 80 knots or so. .80 knots or so. We're gonna pitch ourselves up to 45 degrees while lowering the collective, taking our angle, getting up here, pulling back, adding some that, and that will bring us down. We gotta make sure that we're keeping mid-level collective while we're coming out of that, because we can add a lot more speed to the rotor system because we're putting a lot of air through there. I wonder if I can settle this with power. We'll do it in this field right here. So I'm going to do a quicker landing in and try to get us a settling with power incident. So we're coming into this field. And I'm going to have a very fast descent rate. Trying to do a hot boy landing, if you will. So here, hot boy landing coming up, and you would say, cool, just pull the collective and stop yourself. Okay, this one doesn't model it good. The MD500C, it actually models it really well, so we'll try that. But that one I should have just smacked the ground. There should be no reason for me to have that much authority. A lot of typing here. VR is better, truthfully, works perfectly. Look around the room, everything. VR is better for everything. Looking at gauges, for a sense of size. When you get close to things or helos, even planes, you feel how the size and how little you see around. Yeah. Yeah, having the controls here and like all I need to do with my VR is pick this up, and more or less once I'm flying, everything just kind of already in it. Barrel roll. Let's see, Peachtree Tower Helicopter 420 Foxtrot Whiskey, 7 miles to the southwest, inbound with information Kilo. No, you could join left downwind runway, whatever. Cool, if it's possible we can just go straight to Charlie Pad at Metro. Okay, cool. Don't look at it now, obviously check out for later. Yeah, I know you messaged me when just saying hey, but I haven't seen if you've said anything else since then. And the big thing for me, so starting out with this setup, I built this PC specifically to do flight sim. Is it perfect for it? No, I'm running a 4070 Ti Super, which is power equivalent or so to like a 3090, which was the top shit 4 years ago. I don't know, I don't keep up. 4070 Ti Super, relatively fairly priced, like $800 when I got it. 7800 X3D Radeon CPU. So it's stout, and I set it up with the intention of flying flight sim at mid graphics smoothly. High graphics pretty smoothly. Ultra graphics would be kind of chunky, especially when we get down near the trees. Especially here in Atlanta. I really can't get excuse me, too low with higher graphics, because the trees, the houses, the cars, a lot of polygons. It does not play well. But like I said, I built this specifically for doing flight sim. And part of my idea with that as well, or my thought process was, this is a tool. I spent $1,500 on the control setups from Apache simulators, like 1200, 1300 something, but 15 round number. I spent $2,000 on the PC, and I spent $500 on VR. And there's been little accessories, cables, figuring out things. I've got a dedicated Wi-Fi that runs just my PC and VR, because we have Starlink, and then this setup's in the basement through a lot of walls, and it wasn't linking right. And my PC's motherboard, this is one thing I had no idea about, the motherboard only puts out like 5 watts of power through the USB cables. Meanwhile, this headset takes like 30 watts or 20 watts of charging. So just running it straight cabled, I can only do 3 hours of streaming if I wanted to, or 3 hours of playing before the headset's dead. So now my headset's plugged into the wall with a full power charger, and I have the dedicated Wi-Fi setup thing for we're going to do an auto in. Engines at idle. Down on the collective. We're going for helipad Charlie. I think we're good. I'm going to overshoot Charlie a little bit, but might be able to put it on the over here on the taxi ramp. A lot of inertia there in the system. Okay, cool. Anyways, we're going to call it good on this helicopter. We're going to jump into the 145 from here. Let's see. Don't know why it does that. Sure. It says departure. On ground shut down. Let me hop over to G-Rock real quick and tell him. For do this. Okay, cool. It's loading us a new dispatch. Better than doing coke. So yeah, this was all personal pilot growth. That was the big thing for me. It was like I said, specifically for me to learn how to fly. And with that being said, I did not want to build a computer, spend all this money, and then go like, oh, well, you know what? I want it to be a racing simulator. Nothing against that, but that would take away the purpose of me investing this money. This $4,000 was to save me $4,000 to $8,000 worth of flight time learning how to hover in real life. So, okay, large open recreational periods, Jackson County Rec Department. Let's see. Dang it. Copy. Paste. Oh yeah, I can also break out this bad boy. Fidlock, that's the name of the things, by the way. I was talking about on the kneeboard. Sean, what's going on? So you got the pin stored in here. This dispatch is 34-1200. Don't be dry. No. Oh, yeah, Sean made the buckle straps. No, why is my pin dry? That sucks. 34-1200. I'm just gonna Google this. 34-12. Sorry, also for those looking at. $83.58. 34-12, $83.58. Here, you know what? I'm just gonna type it in here. 34-12, $83.58. 34-12, $83.58. Cool. It's in chat, so I'm not gonna forget it now. And where are they going? They're going to Grady, patient weight 180. Sick. New helicopter, who dis? Also gotta get used to looking at my phone down here instead of looking at it over here as usual. I don't think there's pre-flight stuff to do on this one with this model. Yeah, Shift C, already pre-flighted. Good to go. Alt there. Battery on. Standby battery on. Strobe on. All this stuff is cranking up. Go ahead and click map here. No big deal. That's looking good. Prime pump. Flick that into start. We can see a start tab there. I'm going to take my mouse for a second real quick. Pop that, reset it. Pop that, reset. Generator should be good. Once that's on idle, I'll click the other avionics. That's down, that's there. All that's there. Transfer pumps can go on. Position. Anti-collision can go on. Prime pump there. That's an idle as well. Prime pump there can go off. All that should be good. Now I just got rotor RPM there, not a worry. So now we can go back. Menu. Nope. Home. Waypoint. Create waypoint. I'm at 34128358. Enter. Let's see. North 34 12. West 8358. Oh nope. 358. Enter. Create waypoint 11 added. I can do map. Flight plan. Set destination. Did I not save it? Crap. Sorry, this is... (111) enter. (111) enter. Create. Cancel. Flight plan. Okay, so that's there. Cool. We can do map here somewhere. Nope. Map submissions. There we go. This is exciting, everybody. You're welcome. Startup engines are at idle. Map orientation. Sure. Let's go. Tired of waiting around. Sure, you are too. Those are chooching up. Keyboard ready. Got rid of that. We're sitting on the tail the entire time there. Honestly, I'm cool with the autopilot being up, but you're gonna bitch at me. I'm taking the trim off, because I don't like you. Okay. In the air we go. Horrible pickup. We're gonna do that again, just out of spite. Peachtree Tower, live flight 420 Foxtrot Whiskey is picking up at the helipads and looking to depart Charlie to the northwest. Clear for takeoff, whatever. Cool, here we go. Also, I want to be full up on fuel. Being bad pilot right now, guys, that's my fault. We had to switch helicopters in the middle of all this. If you don't remember, off we go. Also weird that it doesn't carry over nav from the Garmin to the tablet. That'd be nice. Move you there for a second. Oh my god, that's so much better. Okay, anyways, here we are. We're heading to a recreational sports complex, something like that. I'm assuming some kid's gotten smacked in the chest with a baseball and his heart stopped, and they've brought him back, but now they need him transported to Grady because it's bad. You do the yellow light popping up because of the auto trim, but with my setup here, the auto trim feels really weird, so I'll just fly manual trim. And that's okay. We're okay with that sometimes. Happy little things to do. Also, I do like this timer because it tells me the real time. It is, in fact, 10:06. My flight suit would let me see my watch. There's wind coming from that way. Let's turn auto trim on and just see how much it helps us. See, I haven't moved my pedals, but it shows so much more pedal getting used into this, which is annoying. Also, I've been lowering collective. What are you doing? I am lowering. Stop overriding me. Holy crap, that's... See, I don't... Maybe with different control setups or something, that's fine, but for me, it's no bueno. At least for the way that this particular sim and everything functions. How many people are we saving? None of them? Okay, let's get our ponies up again since we're done messing with the auto trim. Somebody had too many hot dogs as an upset tummy. Let's see. Dobbins Tower Helicopter 420 Foxtrot Whiskey Life Flight 1. We are 5 miles to the west, looking to cross over just to the northeast of your field, transitioning from the east to the west. And we've been given permission. So that's nice. Good thing on Dobbins. They're not running any big exercises today, so we're just allowed to scoot on through. We're just allowed to scoot on through. And this is also one of those things where the AI is really bad about giving me good directions. Or good coordinates. So we'll just have to look for ball fields once we get up here. In real life, I would assume that would be pretty well sorted out. Here by Kennesaw Mountain. Yeah, I just want to do a few flights tonight. I didn't want to go too crazy. We may do 4 missions here. Maybe in just one more after this. We'll see. It's really, I just wanted to do something. I want to get myself back in this mode and mentality of doing this every day, because once I get off the current show that I'm on, I'm going to be starting to treat YouTube like a career again, whether it's streaming with my list that I usually work through on my off days of editing and writing and trying to produce non-streamed videos. So hopefully some of those will be coming out, because I've been writing some of those for 3 months, and I stopped because we got busy in the last 3 months. Busy-ish. Yeah, this will just help move me back into that mentality, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes that mentality needs to be had. It needs to be adjusted. Sometimes you can't just turn it on like a light switch or turn it off. Because if I could, I would have been doing the more streams while I was working. But it got down to like 1 a month, which, even though it kept me mentally sane, I wasn't as happy. I'd rather be being productive and doing stuff to be productive. So we're getting back in the swing, so we can expect some more regularity. That should help channel as far as just being regular doing something. I know YouTube likes it when people are consistent. Got a few smaller ideas of things to do. I've got a few larger ideas of things to do. Some will be well produced, some of them won't be. Kind of hit and miss. I've got couple like exposition sort of videos, if you want to call it that. I've got one that I want to write that's more like documentary style. I just don't know how much information I can pull on it. It's a topic that's interesting to me, but it's also a topic that gets boring when I start researching it for more than 20 or 30 minutes. Kennesaw Tower Helicopter 420 Foxtrot Whiskey Med 1. We are 4 miles to the south. We are transitioning your airspace. I'm not going to listen to you if you tell me no. But yeah, I've got a handful of things I want to do and I want to create, and it's just a matter of the mentality that I have for a lot of stuff is, if you never start, you'll never start. Because there's a lot of people who just want to create, we'll just say YouTube videos, because it's kind of what we're talking about. And they'll want everything to be perfect. It's, I've got to have a camera, I've got to have a mic, I've got to have 3 tripods and 10 lights, and the world's best computer to edit with, and all this and all this and all this. And it's, if you keep giving yourself milestones to reach before you'll do something, you'll keep adding more milestones that you need to reach. And then the first thing that you create, whether you have a $1,000 setup or a $20,000 setup, the first thing you make is going to suck. Like there's like 3 exceptions to that rule, but give or take, you're going to suck. And you're going to be like, man, I just spent all this money on all this equipment and what I do sucks. Yeah, everybody's first thing sucks. It's part of it. But you grow, you get better, and it's a lot easier to grow mentally when you're not thinking like, oh man, I have to justify all this cost and all this equipment and all this things and all that. No, film with your iPhone. If you are like, I already had a camera and mic from other interesting things I was doing, so like all my stuff filmed with the camera and mic, it's because I already had it. But I also do fall into my trap, despite preaching, like if you don't start, you'll never start. I fall into that trap. There's a lot of times where I'm like, man, I don't want to do this because it's so much work. And it's all self-inflicted work. Like one of the videos I want to do requires me basically spending an entire day going out and getting B-roll footage. For what reason? A video that's going to get 60 views, 500 views maybe. Doesn't matter how many it gets. It needs to be something that's mentally enjoyable for me to do. And even though that script that I wrote for that and the shot list, even though I think it's super solid and I think it could be a well-created video, I don't think I'm talented enough yet to make that where it's a viable thing for me to do, or a healthy thing for me to do at that point. I could push and push and push and make it happen, and then fall into that same thing if I'm not happy with all this effort I put into it. So I'm looking at doing a rewrite. Yeah, the struggle is real. I'm looking at doing a rewrite on it just to calm it down some, because I enjoy writing. I'm not going to go write a book, but I enjoy writing scripts and ideas and things for stuff. But I enjoy doing things like that and pushing. So I need to find that middle ground of, okay, cool, like I've already got all the B-roll of the topic, but I'll call it like the intro C-roll. It's stuff that's completely unrelated to the video. I don't have any of that. Oh yeah, especially now that you got your new lens, you gotta get some more on YouTube. As long as you're not getting arrested for looking over the fence at CSG. Yeah, the struggle is real, and I'd like to think it's a good thing to some extent, because I am holding myself to a much higher standard than what a lot of people would. But also I'm very well aware that it's going to suck. Or even if other people love it, it could be the world's most perfect thing. I'm going to not like it for myself because of what standard I have for myself. Which is another thing that's a bit annoying to worry about and work with. There are plenty of things that I've done that people love, or work I've done for clients on film, props or whatever that I'm helping create or work, or some training that I'm having an actor or stunt person do to get them to look right moving with the gun. And to me, it looks like crap. To me, it looks like a child did it. To me, it looks like somebody that's visually related to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder blind? Or is he just... Either way, I am the harshest critic of my own stuff. And that's part of it. A lot of people that has no electronics, so is that just for... I mean, I'm sure you can still press record on the camera, right? Or is that just for autofocus and stuff like that? And if that's the case, does it have a tight enough aperture to where you can have the focus pretty well set to where you don't have to really worry about it needing any sort of focus? Yes, sticking to improvement being the habit is a huge part of it. Me today is better than me a year ago by a ton. Pick one thing, stick till it to the next thing. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You've got to. If you don't, you're going to fall apart, drive yourself crazy. You're not going to ever get to a place to where you're excited. Because there's the saying that comparison is the thief of joy, which they're not wrong. But self-comparison as a review may still be a thief of joy to some people, but it makes a lot more mental sense for you if you're looking at where you've been. Just like working out, body dysmorphia is real. Even though I'm not a person who's ever been like overly fat, I've always been a skinny person. So when I started working out, it was like, okay, cool. Like I could see a lot of the gains at first, but now people are still telling me like, hey Matt, cool, you're still swelling up. Like you still look pretty good. You're getting bigger. It's like, man, I feel so much smaller than I did a year ago. And that's comparison. That's thief of joy in some extent. Also, I'm curious if this location that it gave us is actually somewhere decent. So yeah, I think it typed in the wrong location because we're just heading out of state. Oh, that's funny. Let's set ourselves down over here at this airport. I see what it was. Now that's part of the thing where it's my lack of resolution when I'm at this leaned out state here. Oh yeah, we were going the wrong direction. We're just gonna head west. This is an adventure. Or not west, we're just gonna go head straight east for a while and we'll get close to it. Okay, Sean, Belen, good night. You guys have a good night. So yeah, you could still film with it, and having an aperture that's that tight keeps a lot more in focus, especially at distance where you're not worried about pinpointing something at 500 yards versus 600 yards, where it's like, cool, everything that's like 100 to 400 will be in focus, give or take. So I was wondering how far this flight was going to be. But then again, like, you do long flights on some of these trips, so it's not like it's a crazy thing. But hey, at least we're going to get some good looking areas up here. Don't know where we're at, but this is feeling Cartersville-ish. Maybe Rome? Yeah, I think this might be Rome. Oh well. We're gonna keep going. Is Rome this hilly? I don't know. Also, clouds look wild. Let's see. Definitely North Georgia-ish, that's for sure. Up here in the foothills. Yeah, dude, we gone that far. Kennesaw Mountains down there. This should be Allatoona here. Yep, there's the bridge to Allatoona, so yeah, that's Red Top Mountain. Somebody's in a sky crane over there. What's up, H. Ducky 4505? It's always cool seeing other people with helicopters spawning in and playing stuff, because it makes me wonder. It's like, cool, like, what do you know? Are you you a helicopter person? Do you know how to fly helicopters? You learning, you figuring stuff out. He's going down at like 300. He's dropping out, so either he's lagging or he doesn't know what he's doing. Either way. Hope he's having fun. As long as you've had fun, that's all that matters. Trying to make sure we're flying trim, which the trim ball is way different in this than usual. So what I'm looking at here is a little bar there. So if we're too far left out of trim where I need to put right pedal, they always say you kick the ball. So you can see there it's to the right of that, so I use my right pedal to bring that back straight. And flying with the R44, that was something I had to get used to because it doesn't have a traditional trim ball. Down to 2 people. We had 5 in here for a second. But it's also like, it's a Monday. Everybody's tired. It's 10:30 at night. It's a work week. Not everybody has my schedule. So I can't be too upset when there's just a couple of the homies in here. So anybody watching is better than nobody watching, and at the end of the day, I'm just having fun. So what do you think? Do you think I should try to do an early thing tomorrow and get some complete opposite side of the planet flying done? Or should I wait until I'm done with this show? I don't think it'll matter that much. Just a matter of if I want to wake up early on my birthday. Plenty of room for more power now that we've killed off a little bit of fuel. That's nice. Playing Happy Trim. That's still an hour and a half till birthday, but thank you. Much appreciated. There we go. I'm slowly starting to pop up on that left Garmin 750. Now I'm there. So I can more or less just straight east it across now. It's either a school or a prison. Hard to tell. Nope, there's a football field. Gotta be a school. Sad that it's hard to tell schools from prisons. Whole bunch of halls, little rooms that people are stuck in. Wardens. Prison guards. Principals and teachers. All the same. Also, I realized I didn't start the music today, and it's kind of too late now for me to flick over because we're so deep into this as we're talking. So I'm just not going to worry about it. Although it is nice to have that as a little time filler for slower times when it's just a 45-mile cross country that we're doing right now. 45 miles left. What I do want to do, I want to add some altitude. I want to get up to the cloud bases. Make this slightly more exciting. Also, I don't see how plane simmers do it. Like DC Santil up there and the A320. We're going to Jackson County. Jackson County Rec Center, Rec Department, something like that. Like, how does he do, like... I get... It's kind of, honestly, it's like an office management game at that point. Like, okay, cool, you... unless you're hand flying an entire flight plan, which, good for you, if you do, but... Like, really, once you take off, you just kind of like... You enter your flight plan, everything's already plugged in the computer. Beep, beep, boop, boop, and kind of monitor things, and if you're playing VATSIM, you're monitoring tower as well, and different areas and approaches and centers and whatever. But like, I don't get it. There's a reason I did helicopters, because even though I understand that longer flights will be a part of being a helicopter pilot, especially if I'm doing medical stuff one day. Like, doing this will just be a normal everyday thing. I can't imagine, like, not being close enough to, like, see people playing in their yards and... Yeah, low VFR type flying. It's just, that's where my heart's at. The only reason I'm coming up here now is just because there's a relatively low cloud base here. And I'm going to try to VFR poke myself into it a little bit. Start getting kind of foggy, you know. Like a 1,000 foot per minute climb going. Ish. Looks like it may be rainy up here, or maybe that's just haze starting to set in, since I'm basically here at the cloud bases now. That line is definitely erasing the horizon. Visibility slowly working away. Hand flying helicopter IFR. A little less power. Happy accident. It says red. It says, oh, you're into red torquing, but it's 70% torque. I didn't ask for 100% torque. Which, that's weird. That's one thing I do want to learn, which I will eventually, about these newer FADEC type systems. Because like here, it's like, cool, I'm at 70% torque. If I pull up to 76 there, you can see on the readout that it's red. It's like, ooh, danger torque levels, but at 78, it's not 100%. Over torquing over 100, I see that being the issue. But why would you give me that much headroom? It's kind of off topic. I have every prep airstrip in my county saved on Google Maps. I don't think I have every private airstrip saved near me. I kind of generally know where everything's at. Most of them are on the sectional. But I'd say if there's a helipad near me or somewhere where a helicopter flies in and out of regularly, I'm aware of it. There may be one where like somebody flies once a year out of their barn or something, and I just don't know about it because I've never like been watching flight radar when they're taking off. But that's also a good thing to have in your back pocket. When you are flying, if you know the area that you're in and you have an emergency, especially with fixed wing, if you know that there's a runway somewhere that you have the ability to put it down on, given runway length and width and soft field, hard field, whatever, like, it makes a lot of difference to be able to, for lack of better terms, pull that out of your ass if you need to. It's not so much that with helipads for me, because like, okay, cool, if I have an engine problem, I set it down wherever I want to. Wherever I got enough little field to throw an auto into. Or if it's a precautionary landing, wherever I can just set it down. I want more altitude. Let's go up to 5,500 feet. Let's really sink her up in the soup. There's Mall bush plane that comes to all the airstrips. Dude, there's a couple of bush planes I've seen come in and out of Speedway up here. And a lot of times they'll do landings off the runway. They'll do like, we'll be landing in the dirt to the north. It's like, oh hell yeah, dude, you're out there having fun. I love to see that. Or they'll do like a low siding pass first. They haven't been there in a while, just to make sure there's like nothing there. And they'll go do touchdowns and touch and goes and full stops and stall takeoffs and stuff. So I'd love to see that. Hell yeah, we're getting up in it now. Another 400 feet to 55, and we'll see how dark and depressing it is up here. Why don't we just go to 6? I don't want to see the ground. There might be one at the factory, though. Yeah, it's not really a good... And sometimes it's not like a designated... Is it like a designated helipad, or is it a... like, cool, they use that area to land there. Because, I mean, that's a thing, too, where, like, there's a construction company up in Buford where they have an actual helipad, but they'll fly to their construction sites that may or may not have any sort of like set up landing area. Also, I saw this video of a dude, like a Russian dude, which apparently he crashed doing this later, but like pretty competent and confident helicopter pilot. But he flew into IFR conditions like this, but he was putting like tape things over his gauges where he couldn't see like what his attitude and what his airspeed was. And everybody was just like, why are you even risking your shit like that? Like, why is that even a thing you're worried about trying to prove to people? Like, there's no point in like pushing that much risk when it's like, if you like, I've got no spatial orientation of the ground right now. I'm purely running off gauges. I'm using the artificial horizon on the main screen there. But it's like, why risk that in a helicopter that's not IFR rated, no pitot heat on it, where you can freeze up getting into a cloud like this? Like, why make that a thing? I don't know. I say that now, but it's like, also, if this thing crashes and burns, I'm gonna stand up and go shower and take the dog outside and have a good night. You know, it's not like I'm dying and not going home to a family. Just an H painted in the parking lot. I mean, I guess you could call that a helipad, because there's a couple like super small town hospitals, like the one in Forsyth, Georgia. They don't have a helipad, it's just an H in the parking lot. Dude, also, plus side on this is this helicopter is so stable. And the artificial horizon's super, super easy to watch. It's not like a small gauge. All my information's right there, so that makes it so easy to hand fly it. I'm not gonna say easy to hand fly this, but it makes it so much nicer to hand fly this. So now I'm gonna start descending out of it. I want to descend slower than that. That was like 1,000 feet per minute. Trying to descend with the collective just enough. But I mean, I'm moving my left hand like tenths of millimeters. I'm also going by the sound of the rotor blades. They make a good bit of noise. If you're doing a fast descent, rotors chop more. There we go, 700 foot per minute descent. Keeping my angle. I'm gonna do a slight little left turn. I can kind of see the ground down below now, but not enough for me to take my eyes off the gauges yet. It's a little bit too much of a descent. Evening up to the right a little bit. There's the ground even more down there, still coming down. It's a very fast descent. Arresting that. Keeping my airspeed normal. Whoa, why'd you go that way? I did not put that input in. That was weird. Maybe it was just like a weather update with a... Could be just a wind shear or something. Or like a time update with the weather or something where it's like the readings in an airport changed, so it just automatically changed all of the stuff in the sim. Let's see. Might be one of the Kia Factory 2. Tiny hospital in Columbus. The kind of actual destination. Seen them fly. Yeah, that's some places. If it's we're definitely up near Winder. That's the big tower there. I know where that's at. That's a Getcha tower if you're flying through that area. So that's something you gotta watch your charts and stuff for. Make sure you're checking ForeFlight or Garmin where they're marking super high things. That's like a 1,000-foot drop tower. Let's see. Yeah, there's a few like larger businesses and stuff where helicopters will come through, but they don't have like a super designated spot. Like the dude who owns the Butler car dealerships, I think. They had a helicopter at one point, I don't know if they still do, and they would come down to Valdosta when I worked at one of their sub-stores down there, Valdosta Toyota. And they would just land in the grass behind the dealership. It wasn't like a specific landing zone that they would go for and have a spot to go to. Okay, we're starting to get close. So we'll turn more on course. Fun little IFR jiggy there. Maybe a little bit left. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for... Yep, see, there's Road Atlanta. I knew we were in the Winder area just because of that tower. And also, like, they have a designated helipad down there, but I've seen them land in a couple of different spots at Road Atlanta, so... my grandparents' neighbors who flies for American. They haven't successfully landed yet. Give me permission, I'll land there. Won't be an airplane, but I'll land there. Okay, so GPS coordinates are not going to be perfect, as AI is not good doing that. But what it is going to do is get us somewhere in the vicinity. We're looking for a ball fields or something of the sort. How far are we out? A little less than 10 miles. Kind of hazy. Visibility is 5 miles in some directions here. Not the best. Would I want to fly in these conditions? No. But it's also not terrible. And I do kind of want to fly in some sub-10 conditions sometime. Because I've only flown in clear stuff. Although I will say, when I took my dad to go eat the first time we went out to go fly, there was super light fog, where the fog layer was like as thick as the helicopter, like 3 feet of fog. Like I said, super light. So I did fly through that at one point, descending down, because we were at like 500. I could see the ground through it. And I was like, okay, cool, that's where we're going. So it wasn't like I was flying through a cloud. I was flying through just some less visible area. Yeah, I'd land a helicopter there. I need to talk to the school about off-airport landings, if I can have a, like, what the rules are for doing off-airports in the rented helicopters. Because I'd like to go land at my friend's house. That's on my to-do list. Where's my mouse? And getting close. Hurricane Milton. When was Milton? I don't remember Milton. I guess my brain's just so stuck on Helene because of the recency of that and how bad it was for a lot of people that I just don't remember Milton. Plus I know somebody named Milton. Poor dude. Oh, you meant Helene? So the school does allow off-airport, but it's usually with areas that they're familiar with. Like approved off-airport areas. Because like I had to do off-airport confined area, but it was at Hall's Bridge, Hall's Landing, the airport that's just southeast of Speedway. And it's one of those things where it's like, cool, like there's a whole bunch of fields. That's also where we filmed that helicopter movie thing I was doing the other week. Which they have fields in the back, and it's like known approach paths, and like it's right there near everything, so you're not flying 30 minutes away to go do off airport. So it's a nice place to go and do practicing and stuff like that. Hendersonville, okay, yeah, that's a flight away. That's a long ways out. Okay, let's see this. Okay, cool. So that terminates me somewhere there. I don't know, schools are pretty easy to pick out, so we'll hit this area here, we'll look for a school with ball field, and we'll go from there. There's some fields there to the right, but we'll see if there's anything closer to our spot over here, because we're still like 2 miles out. Stadium below us, field over there. It's told the Recreation Sporting Complex. There's a baseball field there. Looks like multiple fields. I don't see anything else that looks like it. Wind coming from behind us. So we will circle around and pop her down that baseball field. Yeah, of course it's EMS flying. Look, I'm in an EMS helicopter. We're going to a ball field. They're choking on a hot dog still. Somehow they're alive and they were able to summon a helicopter for it. But I do want to get rid of this. I'm coming in low there because I'm trying to get rid of my tablet. Hey, look, I'm doing a normal approach in from this spot here. The direct headwind. Holy shit, I'm doing things by the book. What do you know? And then as we get close to the ground, give everybody a cool little spin show. Here, we're here to save you. A little pirouette for them. Okay, cool. Go out there and help the hot dog fella. No, they're still standing out there. Weird to have a garage this close to a baseball field. Yeah, we haven't landed in a while because some idiot typed in the wrong thing on their GPS. Can't imagine what sort of bozo did that. Okay, cool. Apparently he wasn't choking on a hot dog, he's just allergic to pollen. So, get out of here. Said it's been kind of dusty over here, so we're just going to blow this off for them. Here you go, guys. And they're like, okay, cool, all the dust is gone. Then we really get on the dust. We're heading at 240-ish. I'm going to go back to PDK. Shorter stream, I think I'm just going to go to PDK and land. Like I said, today was more of a do stuff for fun, but also kind of have like I like having missions, if that makes sense. I can fly for fun sometimes, just kind of depends. They're batting at my cursor. Oh. If it does that again, let me know, because I don't see it. It disappears for me after a while, so I just have to like move it to the right, and move it to the right, then move it to the right more. Dumb cats. Just a cursor sillies. You don't know how a computer works. Yeah, there was a huge puddle of water on the field. It's because my medic drank a full Gatorade before we took off, and he's been having to hold it for the past hour and a half as I learn how to work a GPS. I mean, a co-pilot puts in the wrong GPS cords on the GPS there. Tan Meerkat. Okay, interesting name. This will be a lower level flight on the way back, staying well within ground visibility. We could go higher, but I want to play the assumption that it's possible for it to get thicker, and if it does get thicker, you'd want to be able to see the ground better, because we're not in an IFR flight plan. It's crazy how I'll hear like one song, which I think you saw it on my story yesterday, the video of the Woodland Firefighters and the Cool for the Summer song remix or whatever. Had it stuck in my head all day just from that one reel. They're still very interested in screen. They might just like helicopters. Okay, Cat, you like this? Oh, this is crazy, isn't it, guys? Oh, and off to the right. You don't see it anymore. That's why I take care of Sean's cats when they go to jiu-jitsu. They're watching the stream, they say, okay, cool, you're in charge of the cats, we're going somewhere, and then I'm just on their TV playing. Yeah, visibility kind of sucked today because this is live replay weather of today. It was like low ceilings, kind of rainy and drizzly and crap today, and it wasn't the best. Rick James, what are you doing over there? Waiting for somebody to come buzz me. Apparently a lot of people are flying on server right now. But I'm not that cool. Also, I'm low-key kind of excited for the getting the around the world stuff going again. Because I think it's only going to be like 4, maybe 5 episodes of having to wake up early. Not early, but just like waking up earlier and settling into it for a day. You know, if instead of doing like a 3-hour stream one day, I could do a 6-hour or something where I'm sitting in and really putting time trying to get across. And then it's like, okay, cool, maybe I can start the streams at noon Eastern time. Or something later where it's not as bad. What do you mean what happened to the Robinson R88 concept? Still a thing. I saw it at Verticon. They had the airframe there. Of course without rotor heads on it, because that kind of gives away some information of stuff for competitors. But what do you mean what happened? Around the world tomorrow, I don't know. We'll see. What time is it? It's 11 o'clock-ish. I got a phone right here. What am I doing? Yeah, 11 o'clock exactly. Yeah, they still mentioned it during the reveal thing. Like, cool, we're still doing progress on this. Everything still looks good. But I think it's just a matter now. It's where it's... I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they were to say, like, cool, like, the helicopter's completely built now. And we're just doing some, like, full systems testing before doing test flights with it. But they're probably figuring out full-scale manufacturing of airframe and components and getting all the tooling and stuff set up for that. But it's kind of like watching the Hill helicopters thing. There's so many people that are haters on Hill helicopters. Because like, oh, why don't you just buy an engine or whatever? It's like, because that gets rid of the whole point of what they're trying to do a helicopter for. Like, oh yeah, sure, I could get the Ariel 2C engine that's in the A-Stars. But then I'm spending $900,000 on an engine, and that's the entire cost of what they're trying to sell the helicopter for. So with Robinson, they're using, I think, an Ariel engine. I'm not sure it's the 2C or not. But they're using, are they using the Ariel? Pretty sure. So like, they're using an established engine and transmission, all that stuff. So I think it's literally just a tooling thing now, where they're getting the tooling set up for manufacturing. And getting that finalized. And they have to do test flight and certification and all that. Which certification will take a while. Need to look at the Hill stuff again. I watched one of their update videos like 2 months ago. Something like that. What's that, Lawrenceville? I think this is KLZU or KULZ, whatever. We have permission for a low pass as fast as we can. If you insist. Don't know why they would request that, but you know, I'm not going to be the person to tell this ATC person no. But yeah, so many people are talking crap about the Hill stuff, which even Tom was one of them. But also, Tom's from a family where they're deep in the helicopter game, if you want to call it that. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you have a working platform, why get rid of a working platform? Cool, the A-Star is such a solid platform, even if it's not the new B3E or whatever. It's still super solid. Same thing with like the Robinsons, the Bells, the whatever. It's like it all works great. Why replace it? Well, things are going to have to get built new eventually one day anyways. So why not be you? And also it's like, cool, why go away from the tried and true engine? Like, because it's old. Is it efficient? Figured out? Yeah, but guess what? Ariel, Turbo Mecha, I guarantee you they're working on new engine designs. Where if somehow in the next 10 years they're going to have a new engine that's out that's bigger, better, faster, lighter, stronger, better cooling, whatever you want to say. You know, and that's part of it. And I'm excited to see Hill doing something like that as an independent person, company doing it. Because then also you get off of the issues that you see with supply chain stuff. Because then they're just worried about getting material in. Making sure they're getting the right type of materials. I know they're forging a lot of their own stuff for their smaller parts, but getting the right billets in for the bigger pieces and whatever. Yeah, it's cool to see them doing that, and I'm all for them doing it. It's like, do I wish it would go faster? Yeah, but also I don't want them to mess something up because they were rushing. Like, oh man, well they pushed back some of their dates. Must be going bad. People just throwing away their money. And it's that sort of pessimism that is what doesn't get us any further in this world. I'd much rather live in a world where optimism around people building new stuff, even if it's not what you want or what you're used to or what you're comfortable with. I want to see people changing and promoting, building and designing and developing and coming up with new and later and greater things, you know? But of course, I also think I'm kind of preaching to the choir. I think most people think like that, but it's always the squeakiest wheels that are heard and paid attention to and get the grease. So even though there's a lot of people supporting Hill, there's also, you get in the comments on any of their posts or videos or whatever, and it's always somebody like, well, where's the test flight? Where's the engine run in? It's like, look, if we were to rush the engine, I say we as if I'm part of this, hey, if you were to rush the engine and put it together now without us testing and making sure everything's built to the standard that we want it to be, you would see an engine blow up, and then you go, oh man, look at these idiots, and then it's bad for publicity and bad for everything else related to it. Versus saying like, hey, cool, here's our goals and here's what we're going to be doing our testing at, then it's like, oh, well, we figured out that this one development process is going to be a bit more involved than what we expected, trying to get the perfect super alloy for it. So testing's going to be pushed back until we can get that sorted, which we're expecting in whenever, and then we'll start throwing together engine assemblies and getting things designed and built. Like the whole freaking helicopter's already designed. Every single part. They have full tech drawings for every single part that needs to be manufactured. And for somebody to look at that and not see any sort of value to it is wild to me. Especially as like I'm somebody who, to a good extent, understands how much time and effort goes into just designing a part to begin with, but then having it soundly engineered through metallurgical properties, strength testing outside. It's like, oh cool, we are making this big enough. Like if I wanted to make a bracket that holds 100 pounds, it's like it wouldn't be hard to do that if I just grab 1-inch steel and make a good bracket that's triangulated with like 3/4 inch DOM tubing. Like it's going to hold 1,000 pounds really. But to say like, cool, this part under normal everyday stressing should be 50 pounds or 20 pounds, but for safety we have to double or triple whatever that rating is, so we have to make it hold 100 pounds. And also we need it to weigh less than 0.2 to work here for weight and balance and all this other stuff, and mount in this way, fit in this spot, hold these sort of things, and be vibration resistant, and like all that extra stuff that goes into that is ridiculous, and people don't understand the amount of work that goes into that. But some people appreciate it. I'm glad to see them doing it. Where are we at? That's Snellville, maybe? There's Stone Mountain, okay. I know where Wizzy at. What is this? It's a quarry? it's just a big hole in the ground here? It is. Very cool quarry. That's a big... I didn't know this quarry was here. I mean, we're off shift. We don't have a patient, so we'll swing in here right now. Just because I think this is sick. How crazy that we just hide these things, like, right next to urban sprawl. Oh, by the way, there's a giant-ass hole in the ground. What do they even quarry here? Something stupid like limestone or some crap like that? And we're near Stone Mountain, so it could be granite. This could be a... looks abandoned. I mean, the whole world kind of looks abandoned in flights, and there's such a lack of people around. Okay, there's Carmack. I know where we're at. Since we don't have any passengers, we were asked to do a traffic run for everybody so we can make sure people can get down 85 safely into the city. Also, my work that's going to stop being my work in 3 days is up here. So we may... Have I ever done a landing there? I don't know. We'll see what a pop-in approach and land looks like at work. Look at those silly towers. So that's OFS right here. Uses a filming facility, film stages, studio, whatever. It started out as a place that made optical fiber solutions. I think OFS is what it stood for. But they made enough for the human race for the foreseeable future. So they don't really produce anymore. They just kind of store it. But they had this giant building. So they rented out to a lot of productions for filming, since there's so much room. And like in the back here, you can see all the Connex boxes and stuff set up to where we'll put up big blue screens, things like this. I haven't worked here since Bad Boys 3, I don't think. That's cool. You can even see the tape marks on it. I wonder what movie this was. Yeah, I worked here during Bad Boys 3. The Connex boxes were set up over there, though, so this is a new spotter location. But they film a lot of stuff here at OFS. But I have been working at Eagle Rock Studios, which is down this road, which is called Best Friend Road. And Will Trent seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, as far as I know. I think they did season 1 here, maybe. but at least 3 and 4 have been here on this side of this building, and on this other side of this building, being this half here, has been Tulsa Kings. This building here next to it's not film related. It just happens to be here. And I don't think they're connected. They're just really, really close. So I've debated on what it would be like, or looked into what it would be like to fly to work. And I think the only landing spot is here, which is not shown. But there's like a, at least now there is, like a U-turn road that kind of comes around and goes into a garage door on the side of the building right there. So this would be a kind of like a little grass helipad to set down at. Which I wonder if it's visible here. Yeah. So like a little paved thing here for trucks and stuff to get inside a garage door that goes down into the building. Other than that, everything else is all parking and taken. And this over here is not our building, our used for other shit. So I think it would be possible to land here, but I don't know, and the building probably wouldn't go for it. Blue Vulcan Quarry, aggregate granite. Brook Hollow Road, Best Friend Road. But yeah, I would assume granite just because Stone Mountain's right there. Also, Ryan 8K, welcome. I don't know if I've seen your name before. Nope. Looks like that might have been your first comment. Anyways, thanks for being in here, dude. Get out of here. Fly over all the people that don't believe I fly helicopters. Suck at nerds. And then we're just outside the Delta, so like by here it'd be like PDK Tower, helicopter, 420 Foxtrot Whiskey, 5 miles to the northeast, inbound with information, Kilo. I'm like, I'll say intention. I'd be like, hey, we're looking to land at helipad Charlie and taxi over to Metro. St. Cloud, Florida. Oh, nice. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Just so you can kind of see. Yeah, we use shipping containers for walls. It's easy. But tonight, not exactly a serious EMS flight session. They do have a mission set built in with this particular model helicopter, the Hype Performance Group H145. But it's kind of buggy because Flight Sim 2024 is kind of a buggy thing to begin with, just because it's a stepchild, redhead stepchild, whatever. It's the sim's kind of buggy for a lot of things. But with that said, if you do subscribe and stick around, last summer I'd started an Around the World series. Kind of fell off doing it this year because I got super busy with my normal job, which is film stuff, if you couldn't tell from that. But the show that I'm working is done here on Thursday? I think Thursday. So with that, I'm going to have a lot of free time, and I'm going to be treating YouTube more or less like a full-time thing. Getting back into writing little videos and scripts and whatever, but more importantly, streaming. So there will be a handful of early morning streams that I'll do to get us out of the India and Middle East area, because they're kind of directly opposite of us here on the East Coast of the USA. And it makes me flying live time, live weather a bit of a pain. Because it wouldn't be getting morning time over there until now, and I don't want to be up until 4 o'clock every morning flying. So I'll do a few streams pretty early in the morning just to get out of that area. But then we'll get more into getting up, flying through Europe, getting across Iceland, Greenland and stuff, and going back down through the Americas. And instead of stopping normally, we'll be swinging down through the Caribbean islands and then just touching South America. Then heading back up through Central America. So I want to touch all the continents with the exception of Antarctica. It's very serious. We picked up a patient and aren't going to hospital, and we keep stopping to check stuff out. Yeah. Hey, last stream we were serious, but I enjoy goofing off, but I enjoy also having like some sort of like mission set thing to do. And it's like also you'd never see somebody coming in that hard with a medical helicopter. I'm doing the correct approach once I did this hot boy slowdown. What I'll do, we're gonna do a little quick shenanigans session before I call it a night. We'll pop in the 500C, and I'll see if I can get some solid settling with power instances, like doing some hot landings and stuff. Just because I was talking about that earlier. Okay, let's see. Let's roll all this down a bit. I'll do a full shutdown procedure. Why not? Get that going to idle. Turn those off. Those aren't needed. Things are cooling down. We can turn that light off. That light off. Transfer pumps can go away. Don't need that. 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 Don't need you. Don't need you. Those are going away now. Geez, 67,000. But I mean, it got you there quick, and that's kind of the whole point of this sort of flight or this sort of care. Do I think it's a lot of money? Yeah. I think anybody would be stupid to think that's not a lot of money. But with that said, it's depending on the helicopter that they used for you, it's probably anywhere from like $3 to $15 million helicopter. I mean, if you're in St. Cloud, Florida, it's probably a good chance it's a 135, a 145, or a 407. I don't think they do many 130s down there. But yeah, and I do plan on doing more of these EMS flight things. So if you ever want to tune back in for those, or if you only showed up for that, I'll be doing more of those. But kind of show you real quick on the around the world thing. So we started here in Georgia, where I live. We came all the way up this way. We came up the coast of Alaska. We jumped across here. We came down this peninsula. Jumped all the way down here through Japan. followed the islands, came down this way, booped around, came down this way, Papua New Guinea, hit Australia. We did a tour through here. Came back out over here, I think. Over here. And jumped across. Came up Indonesia's, Thailand, whatever we just did, Summit a couple of episodes ago. Now we're over here somewhere. So I wanted to, and you can see the morning lines just now getting over here. So I want to wake up early. And a few times, whatever. It's a Eurocopter. So yeah. Did it have the back doors that opened on the back side, like one of these? Or did you get fed in through the side? But yeah, I want to do a few episodes to get us over here. And get us through the Saudis. And then we should be more timed out to be doing these like normal daytime hours for us. And then we'll be up around here. Coming over here. Back down. And then... Oop, who's that? Sar? Yeah. What's he flying right now? Doesn't say. Where's he at? What are you doing, Sar Haley? Which he does have a YouTube channel. H500C, that's what I was about to hop in. Backdoor. Okay, so yeah, it was either a 145 or 135, and that's just a difference on these two of the 145. You have your front window, then you have two rectangular windows, and then the triangle end window. The 135 is the front window, a rectangular, then the triangular end one. So the 145 is just like more limousine version. They both do good. They both load in through the back. Oh yeah, GPU will go a long way. It is better on this game than 2020, I think, because it is a streamed game. And not a, we're gonna go to my home airport. It's a streamed game and not a, something that's, saved and completely running through everything you've got, and it's nice having a lot more visual data that you don't have to download. I've got a 4070 Ti Super and a 7800 X3D running this. VR makes a difference for sure if you want to do helicopter stuff. Not necessary, but it goes a long way. Cool, I think we're good. Shift C. Get myself lined up there. Need to be taller. A little bit further back. Cool, that feels good enough. Get you. Right basket. Minigun. Don't care. Go away. Realistic damage. Yep. Cool. Go with all that. Don't want any accessories. Okay, now let's look at this thing. Battery. That's on. Fuel pump. On. Position lights, anti-collision. So that way nobody will bump into us. Fuel valve pull to close. That's good. Is there an ignition switch in this one? I know one of the other submodels has a key that you'll do to turn the ignition on. But I don't see that in this one. So we'll just hold the starter button. Oops. Get off. There we go. Throttle's on. Managing throttle, keeping it low. I can let off that generator. I'm sure pitot heat might as well. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Managing torque as I'm getting it up to speed. Okay, get rid of that. Get rid of all the names around me. That. Let's see if we can get ourselves in a little vortex ring state situation here. Really more of a settling the power thing. That's what I'm trying to do. Vortex ring state, I see more as like a high altitude sort of thing. Where it's like if you were... I'll do that first to do the explanation. I know Mr. Southeast Aviation's heard me say it a million times, but might as well explain it since you're here. I don't know what your helicopter knowledge is. So, you cannot descend through your own turbulence, your own downwash. You can, but then you lose the effectiveness of your rotor and everything that it does. The factors to put you into that is descending it faster than 300 feet per minute, descending or moving forward for airspeed less than 30 knots, and then some form of power applied, they say like 10 to 100% power. So anyways, what we're going to do, we're going to give ourselves some altitude here. Turn this way, we're slowing down. You can see with our gauges, things we'll be watching. We have our airspeed indicator here. And do we have a vertical speed indicator anywhere in this damn helicopter? Yeah, we can kind of see what it's doing here. I don't see like a VSI gauge. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, we're going to keep our airspeed basically nothing. We're going to slowly let the collective down as we start falling. And there's a point when we start falling a lot faster, and there's nothing I can do. Or the collective I'm adding, we're still falling. So, what I have to do is lower the collective even more, push forward. That's going to build us some forward airspeed and get us out of our downwash. There's another way to do that, which would be called a Bouchard technique. And the way we explain that is when you look at your tail rotor, you have what you call your power pedal, which is basically the same way that your rotors turn. You can see mine are going to the left. So my left pedal is my power pedal, and that rotates the entire helicopter to the left. But you can see if this is pushing the tail this way, it's also pushing the entire helicopter to the right. So we want to use that to our advantage. So if we happen to get into a vortex ring state at a much lower altitude, like right here for instance, I don't have enough room to lower my collective, push forward, and get airspeed. So if we start getting into vortex ring state here descending, I'll push power pedal and right on my cyclic, and that will sidestep us out of our downwash and get us out of it in a much more controlled area, a much more controlled vertical descent. They really don't teach the Bouchard technique, because most of the time, unless you're doing some sort of production work or something like that, you're operating outside of the height velocity diagram, which really has nothing to do with settling the power. It's more to do with auto rotations and stuff. But it kind of applies to how easy you're able to recover in the amount of time that you have to recover if you do have to get in the vortex. That's not what it's for, but it can kind of apply to that as well. And basically what the height velocity diagram says on a lot of helicopters is stay close to the ground when you're taking off. So if you're here and you want to take off, you need forward airspeed regardless, because it's what most helicopters need to actually get off the ground. when you're near max gross weight. And then once you get to like 40 knots or something like that, it's no longer worth it for you to try to auto-rotate here. It's more worth it for you to auto-rotate as you're getting up here. And then the high velocity diagram allows you to go slower once you get to like 300, 400 foot above the ground, which also kind of gives you that time if it's a settling with power or getting into vortex ring state. So, with that said, we're going to be ignoring that diagram because we want danger. So we're going to try to do a confined area landing. And there's a high chance of stuffing this into the ground, but you will be attempting to do a settling with power scenario. So there's a gap in the trees over here. I'm going to be very steep, but I'm also going to be very hot coming in. So here's our little gap. Like I said, we're looking at 30 knots of airspeed or slower for it to really get us in that situation. And with some power applied. So I want the descent rate to be fast enough to where that's an issue. And you have to have all three of those things. So here, for the collective just constant range, I think we had enough forward airspeed where it wasn't that much of an issue. So we'll see if we can come in even hotter. I might try to do like a super shallow, hot boy, quick stop approach and land. And really shade the trees coming in. Oh, also somebody, I think it was Blake, talking earlier about all the armor pilots doing hot boys, and that's usually in these 500s. This will be more of an armor, like practical armor approach in. Won't really be a upside down crazy approach in, but I may try one of those to see if it kills us. So this here, when I put it in the quick stop thing, it'll basically be vortex ring state, but forward moving. And that took a lot of collective air to get out of that. So try again. Like I said, this is the helicopter that I've been most able to get like bad settling of power with. So whatever they did to tune this particular one's flight model is really good. Yeah, they don't usually do straight down approaches. They want to try to keep that 30 knots as best they can. Which, I mean, hell, let's go to the farm real quick. So the farm is Hall's Bridge, Hall's Landing, something. What's it called? Show me the name, show me the name, show me the name, show me the name. Hall's Flying Ranch. They are friends in the helicopter school that I used. So we got to use their field for all of our confined area stuff. Yeah, also it's a power thing too. In the little Robinson R22, you're almost always at max gross weight if it's two adults in there. Or two bigger grown adults. I gave one of my friends a ride, and he's a much smaller guy. I'm 190 pounds, and he's 110, something like that. So I was able to take full fuel with him, and it wasn't that big a deal. But me and my dad, he's 165, 170. He's about at the limit of what I would want to take with like 19 gallons of fuel. Fuel Fox was using Halls. Yep. And this is why. And also, fun fact, like I said, they're friends of the school. One of the kids of the owner of Halls is one of like partial owners of the school. He owns one of these houses over here to the left. This one that's kind of like right there at the top corner of the window there. and my instructor was living there. But anyways, this field over here is where we did our confined area, which, if you want to come in and do a landing from this direction, obviously it's a much larger field. And the trees in real life are much taller than these trees, so it makes the field seem much more accessible. But we're going to put a limit on these trees, which let me see what ground level is real quick here. So our ground is at 800-ish feet, a little bit like 780, you could say. The trees were a good 100 foot tall, or they are. So for the tops of these trees to only be showing 40 feet up, it's really underselling. So we're going to give ourselves a limit of these trees of being like this tall, like 850 plus feet. So when we come in and do a confined area, you'll be like, okay, cool, we've still got to really clear those trees. So yeah, we do a lot of our approaches, and we only use like this, let me get my laser pointer out. So we'd only use like this part of the field here in this circle. We wouldn't go past this little peninsula of trees. We kind of only use that pocket there. So we get up, we set our approach, we say, oh, let's say the wind's coming from the south. I don't know which direction the wind's coming from. We're just going to do a north to south approach with it. We're like southwest. We get our angle, we come in and we set up for a steep approach going in. So we don't go straight down in because we don't have the power. And at max gross weight, it's stout trying to get down in here. So we're coming this way and we have to be over there. And imagine the trees they're twice as tall as they are now. So now we're starting our descent. Coming in, we're at 30 knots. Remember, the trees are 850. So I've cleared my trees there, and I've gone forward enough for the tail to also clear the trees there. And then I'm already using what brings me to the later third of this field while keeping this descent angle. Because you want to keep that same descent angle all the way to the bottom. And now when I get down here and I turn around, you see like, okay, cool, we basically used the entire field to land. Using like the Robinson R22 because there's such a lack of power when you're maxed out and late. Here, let me stuff this thing full real quick and see what sort of weight we can throw in here. So we can max this out real quick. Here we're 10 pounds under max gross. We are full right now. So what we're going to be watching is our torque numbers, and we're going to see how high that is. And I'm just going to try to go vertical now. So instead of trying to get any forward airspeed, I'm just going to go straight up. Like I said, we're basically at max gross now. So we're watching our torque being used. I'm going to keep it out of the red. So we're right there at the yellow. Yellow gets us off the ground. Watching temperatures, slowly adding power. And you can see how slow we're going up to compare to what we were before. It's 85-90%-ish. Not a complete torque, but what allowable torque is. And the turbines have a bit more headroom as far as what they can and what they do allow. Also, I don't know if you can see, but I'm basically full left pedal right now because we're having to put some serious torque into the helicopter. But if anything, I'll go grab the R22 as well, and we'll do the same thing. Let me see if I can do a set on the power in the field now that we're super heavy as well. Because we were light there going in. It's getting hot. Also, getting into selling a power feels super weird. Foreign Collective barely saved us there at the end. That would have been an overtorque on the engine. But getting into settling the power, it feels weird. Like you can sense when you're coming in too hot. Also, I forgot that we're super heavy. Let's see, forward airspeed really helps us get up and over the trees. Just having that little bit of air moving over the end. Oh, you're headed to bed. Adios, dude. See ya. Thanks for being here, as always. Having any sort of forward airspeed. So when you're doing a max performance takeoff, if you are trying to straight vertical in some situations you can, this is why you still have watching. Coming in hot, coming in hot, coming in hot. Home Collective, nothing. And there we go. Caught at the end with the overtorque. So, let's turn ourselves this way. So that tree, 100 foot or 50, 60 foot taller than what it would be, this one here on the corner in front of us. So the way that we would be getting out of here, in the 22, I would be setting myself way over here. And that was full left pedal right there. And then taking off, we get here, and we say, okay, cool, that's all the power we can ask of it. And we're trying to get like as most even of a push forward and pickup as we can. And you can kind of pull back and let it balloon a little bit and grow. Then once you're over the tree height, you can lean further into it. I really want to get a set on the power thing. I really want to slam this helicopter into the ground. So let's try some hot approaches. A spot approach there at the end of the film, and we'll come in and try to make like a steep bank into it. So something where you would see the people in the Armageddon having no issue popping up and shoot the tank, shoot the tank, shoot the tank, and come in and get your people. And cool, like I barely had the power there. I showed engine out, so we had a reignition, and I overtorqued the engine, which is a $500,000 repair. Suboptimal. Let's see if we can get some more speed and actually get some height on this one. Not maybe past 60 knots too high. We are heavy. Shoot the tank, shoot the tank, shoot the tank. And come in, they land and pick their people up. And there we go. I was full collective there, which in a non-VRS situation, that would arrest your descent. But when VRS is something that's modeled, and you're actually coming down at speed, you're not able to really stop yourself there. So it's, I mean, Arma's good. They get a lot of the mechanics generally right, I think. As far as just handling goes. But I think the more advanced aerodynamic issues that are possible, I think those are definitely not modeled correctly. one more hot boy landing fail. Into the field, we're not going to do a sweep or anything like that. We're just going to try to do a hard stop at this small tree that's down here at the very end of the field. When you're not coming in, and here I want to already be off of it. And I think I oversped the rotor system there because I really threw our weight to it. I want to do that again, but watch that. So what I'm saying about overspeed the rotor system, when you're doing a quick stop, you're basically putting your helicopter into an auto rotation, but moving forward instead of down. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, when you lose an engine in your helicopter, your rotor will still freeze down. You lower your collector, which is my left hand here. You flatten out the blades, but the air moving up through the system is enough to spin those blades, and you can maintain your rotor RPM. So when you get near the ground, it will you can recover that when there should be energy built up by applying some collector air, pulling back on the cycle to add more, and you can slow yourself down into a stopping land safely if you lose energy. But if you let too much air go through, you can overspeed the rotor system, and they're only meant to spin so fast. So what we're going to do this time, while I was making sure I wasn't in the tree, we're going to watch this. This inside fat needle is our happy rotor RPMs. I'm pretty sure I heard these things probably shooting as we were slowing down. So we're going to watch that more specifically, and I'm going to use the runway here so I'm not dodging trees. Still going to get 20 plus knots. Stop by the barn up here. And pull down on the collective, pulling back. Yep, overspeeding the shit out of the rotor system. So to fix that, you have to add collective to it. And manage whatever amount of collective. And that, and float and balance all that at the same time. So now we'll do that while balancing it. And see what we can come up with. This poor helicopter is just getting abused today. There. Power. Up. We get this little downhill gravity assisted run in. Now we're going to do the same thing, do a quick stop, but also manage our rotor RPMs, shoving air through there way faster than the doctor prescribed. I'll have to do my quick stop earlier. Adding a lot of altitude there, trying not to overspeed the rotor system. Usually you wouldn't be throwing yourself that hard into it. Yeah, so that's that. Anybody, I'm thinking about getting off now. I think there's like one or two of you in here. I'll head back over to the airport to do a final sign-off. I'm going to make this live, though. I'm going to be home late. Actually, no, I don't want to do it late. If there's anything you want to see real quick before I get off, feel free to say something. If not, I'll get over there, sit down, shut down, and call that a good stream. you're not subscribed, please do. There's like buttons. As little as it is, it goes a long way. Also, the other day I got to shoot a film in this field over here, and we were shooting a real minigun with real bullets on a Black Hawk for this movie. So that's kind of cool. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I'll be doing more EMS stuff. It's nice to just kind of have a procedural do missions, fly around somewhere that I'm familiar with. Like when we were doing the missions earlier, like I knew where we were, so I could see landmarks, and it's nice. It's chill for me. It keeps the channel active, which I need to do more. But also, it gets me back in the mood of doing this, because I need to get doing some more around the world things. What I'll do here, since we're climbing, I'm going to throw us an auto rotation for our last thing. And I'll see, I haven't done an auto in this thing in months. I don't fly this model often. But I'll see if I can point land it up on a helipad up here for the school. Let's see. 80 knots or so seems to be. I'm going to flip the governor off, throttle down. As you can see, we lost our engine RPM here with this gauge, but I'm managing our rotor RPM with our shorter, fat needle ring. I'm going to drop my low rotor RPM for more distance. I'm not going to make the landing times. But we'll do a nice little shitty auto rotation landing there. Like I said, I haven't done one of those in this one in a while. But anyways, thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to head off for the night. Keep an eye out for some early morning streams soon. Shut that thing up. Keep an eye out for some early morning streams soon, so we can do some more around the world bits and get to better daylight times. So instead of trying to fly over here this late at night, I'm going to try to do it during their evening time over there. So hopefully get us over here somewhere and blah, 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 whatever. Eventually we'll come through Europe and that'll be fun. But thanks everybody for watching. Much appreciated. And as the friendly air traffic controllers will say to you as you're leaving their airspace, see ya!